Hello again, welcome back to Asgard, and welcome back to Stacia. So since the last episode, I have been doing a ton of prep work. You'll notice over here, there's a bunch of stuff laid out on the tables. You'll notice in this chest, and in this chest, more prep literally everywhere. I've also been doing a bit of work around the base, basically filling out the rest of our bays. So you can see I removed the power setup that was over here, set up another crusher that we're going to be automating before too long. Our sawmills and stuff are set back up. Over here we have our mixer that's been added in. I think I've changed out pretty much all the power cables up through here to power. Our coke ovens are set back up and running. And over here we have our power setup. This is going to be used long term and expanded upon, but long term just for single input recipes. And we're going to have a separate setup for multi-input recipes. But you'll notice in here, I've got a bunch of stuff. I'm actually going to go ahead and run another set of these. We don't need them for today, but I know it'll come back up. And these do take a little bit to run because they require 20 million FE. But you can see we got our very first nitro crystals. We got some energy batteries, 2 of those from Integrated Dynamics. Just a whole lot of prep in place. For what we're going to be doing, what we're going to be pushing into. It was about 3 hours of prep. It wasn't too bad. Actually, a couple times I really thought about going with refined storage instead of AE2. Refined storage is way cheaper to get into than AE2. AE2 takes a lot more prep to delve into, and we're not going to be going straight for the ME controller because we can live without it. And to do it, it's not too bad, but it does require that we get polonium. So that's a whole nother process that we're not going to be starting into today, just because it takes a lot of machine casings, and I'd rather have a little bit of automation in place. And honestly, the energy acceptor is more than enough to get a pretty strong AE2 system in place in all actuality. What we're going to be doing, first and foremost, let's go ahead, let's just take this one step at a time. I think that's going to be the easiest way to do it. Let's go ahead and focus in on the energy acceptor first. So for this, we're going to need fission reactor casings, which fission reactors is what we're going to need to get to do the polonium. But for right now, we're just going to make 4 of these. Pretty straightforward to make. And there we go. And we're going to go ahead and lay these out in there. And then in addition, we need some charged night sky, and we need some pure fluix. So what I'm going to do with our fluix at this point is I'm going to go ahead and just double our output. So we're just going to crush that up, and I'm going to get some sand, and we're going to give that a minute to run. Also worth noting is our miner finished mining in the nether, so I moved it here. So it's mining this area here. You can see we've still got 12,311 things to mine in this area, and I moved all of our stuff over into drawers, and then this is what we've mined up so far from this area. I really need to blacklist aquamarine shale and probably like redstone and stuff, because we really just don't need that stuff. Okay, so let's go ahead and take our fluix dust, combine it with sand, and we're going to get fluix seeds. And then what we're going to do, there's a couple ways that we can run these. Well, normally there's this method. I don't know if this is enabled, since most of the other water crafting is disabled. But there is this method here, which is pretty straightforward, just using the enrichment chamber. Also, the pulse centrifuge can directly convert it from lazy AE2. But we're just going to go with the enrichment chamber for now. So we'll just toss those in there and get those enriching. And then we're also going to need some charged night sky. And, oh yeah, let me get my configurator. And right over here, I've got the stuff laid out that's required to make night skies. And I'm missing something. What am I missing? Oh yeah, the charged snowballs. Let me go grab those. And I've got enough in here to make a half stack. So I'm just going to grab 32 charged snowballs. And then we'll just go ahead and lay that out. And we're going to lock the inputs for this. So there we go. It's starting to craft. Looks like it's going to take a little while to craft that out. But we only need 2 for this craft, so it's not too bad. And let's grab our pure fluix. And while we're over here, let's go ahead now. Let me pop over and get night sky lapis as well. Since this is going to take a little while to craft, we may as well go ahead and get this running. So charged night sky lapis is lapis, or the night sky lapis, prismarine, any kind of fish, and then just some matter balls, and this is all just going to be ran with water. So I've just got a sink back here running this stuff, and then let's go ahead and just set this to auto extract as well. So once it crafts these, then it'll just pull in the items, and we'll go ahead and just speed this up just a little bit here. And there we go. There's our 2 charged night sky. And then let's go ahead and get our energy acceptor. So there's that. That wasn't too bad. So we'll go ahead and take that. We got a quest complete. I don't think probably any of these quests are going to give experience, or rewards, I mean. Okay, now next up, this is the one that's going to take a little bit. We're going to have to get black iron. Okay. Because we're going to need it for the inscriber, and this requires machine frame. It requires some pure fluix, which we can go ahead, or regular fluix. We can go ahead and put that into there. And right down here, I've got machine frames from RF Tools. We're going to go ahead and just grab these, and one of these is going to go right in there. And then at this point, we just need 4 black iron, but it's a little bit of a process to get some black iron. First and foremost, we're going to need to go ahead and start into some ender crafting, because that's where everything is going to be put into to actually make this stuff. So let's go ahead, grab this, and grab this. Tried to lay out everything so we could just kind of quickly move through this, because it's basically just a whole lot, like an absolute ton of micro crafting, like crazy amount. And then to get the ender crafter, oh yeah, I need a crafting table. Let me go get one of those. We're going to need that. We're going to need that. We're going to need that. And there's our ender crafter. And then we're going to need the lasers, the alternators. So we're going to get 6 crafts. It's going to give us 12 of these. The more you have, the faster this stuff is going to craft. So, and I think that completed a quest somewhere. Oh, by the way, I just happened to notice this. Apparently, this quest is set up so that any mana tablet counts and not just the creative one. So kind of funny thing there. And I think we're going to go ahead and set up this just right in this area. I think all those will connect. And then to get our black iron, which we're going to need 4 of this today, we're going to need a ton more as time goes on. First and foremost, some of this easy stuff that we have is skystone, which I got a little bit extra of that. That's fine. We're also going to need HLP graphite. We're going to be making the bare minimum, so I'm just going to put the rest of the stuff back in there. And that's about it for the really easy stuff, I think. So we'll go ahead and just put that in for now. And then next up, we're going to need some flux dust. I'm going to be making a bunch of this just because we can. So let's get some obsidian, and let's get ourselves some redstone. And we're going to go ahead and make like 4 stacks of this stuff. And basically we just have to get to a place that's got bedrock. I don't know if bedrock is craftable in this pack. If not, that's okay. I mean, bedrock's plentiful. Yeah, it's not craftable in this pack. So we will have to set this up, you know, somewhere down under the ground or in the nether or something like that. So we'll probably just set up a little automated setup for that here soon enough. But what we're going to do is we're going to put down our obsidian right in there. And then let's go ahead and take our redstone and just toss that down right in there and just left click that. And you can see we got a bit of flux dust. Now let's go ahead and just do this one more time here. There we go. And you can see there's really no limit as to how much you can craft at once. I mean, you can craft probably 30 stacks or more at once if you want to. And this flux dust, some of it's going to go over here for the black iron. So we'll go ahead and just put some of that in. And we're going to use some of this in another craft here in a minute as well. So we're just going to tuck this away into there. Okay, so there's that. Now the next thing is the flux core. Okay, or actually let's go ahead and do the nitro capacitors first. So we're going to need 8 of these in total. Biggest part, of course, being the nitro capacitor. Not expensive, just some blazing crystal and nether star and some redstone, but they do take a lot of power to craft, but not too bad. And so we're just going to go ahead and drop these into there. So there's that. And then next up, and there is a recipe here for combination crafting. So down the road, of course, we'll probably craft it this way. A little bit more expensive, as you can see, but not too bad. Not too bad. Now next up, let's go ahead and dive into the flux core. Now to get this, we're going to need a quantum entangler. I've got one of those laid out right here. And we're going to have to pulverize it. That's the difficult part. This is all super cheap. Oh, we completed a quest that gave a reward. Oh, for flux dust. Oh, we're going to get some flux points. We'll go ahead and take them just because we can, and that completes another quest there. We'll probably delve into some flux networks down the road, but honestly, Power is also super good. Both of them are really good. I don't know. Okay, these actually aren't expensive to craft, so once we get up to where we can automate mechanism and stuff, which isn't very far off for us. And we're going to have to run this through the pulverizer. Thermal machines, for the most part, are a nightmare. So what we're going to do here, first and foremost, is let's get ourselves, well, let's grab this stuff here, and let's pop up, and I want to make the Supreme machine frame. So this one right here is the one that we use for our ether gas. So we're just going to put in the recipe. There we go. That's going to start running. And we'll give this just a moment. And then we're going to toss in one more. And we'll get that made. Because in total today, we're going to be making 3 thermal machines. One that's actually really, really cheap. But then we're going to have 3 that are fairly expensive. Of course, we made one of these a few episodes back. But we do need those 3 for today. And then we're going to need all this stuff. And in addition, to make our thermal machine frame, we are going to need the RF Tools base machine frames. So these right here. And this is going to be made in that sulfuric acid that we set up in the last episode. And I do have this being pumped into a tank. I have it turned off at the moment. As you can see, it's not auto outputting because we're going to be using the gas form of that later on this episode. So we're going to put in that. We're going to put in that. I don't think the layout actually matters for these, but I do want them to actually look right. So there we go. We'll get that running. This one actually crafts pretty quick. And then we'll drop in another craft and another craft. Actually quite a bit of sulfuric acid. It's like 5,000 per craft. But this is going to build back up. And we did complete a quest here. Oh, but actually, they want us to get the crescent hammer. Let's go ahead and do that, just so we unlock the quest. Alright, so there's our crescent hammer. And we got a couple quests completed, and so that'll actually unlock things for us here. And to make our pulverizer, let's just go ahead and pull up the pulverizer, because that's where we're going to be focused in on for a minute here. We are going to need these resonant integral components, and these are a little bit of a micro crafting nightmare, and we're actually going to be using 4 of these today. So we're going to go ahead and make 4 hardened, and then we're going to make 4 of those, and then 4 resonant. So there we go. And those completed a quest right down here for us. So there's that, and I think most of this other stuff we've got prepped up except for these 3 things right here. These 3 things are going to take a little bit of setup, not a ton, but they are going to take a little bit. So let me go ahead and just grab the things down here that we're going to be using for the pulverizer for starters. And then we are going to have to, first and foremost, get into making copper crystals. And so there's 3 different machines that we're going to need for this, but luckily, since we did set up sulfuric acid, it's going to make our lives a whole lot easier. So we're going to need the chemical dissolution chamber, the chemical washer, and the chemical crystallizer. And of course, these are kind of the starting points for ore processing within Mechanism. So the dissolution chamber is up first, and what I'm going to do, I think, at least for now, probably, Yeah, it's just set it up right in here. You can see this now has sulfuric acid, and then that's going to go into the washer, and then there's going to be the crystallizer here, and then we'll just run power. We'll end up moving this, but I may end up keeping it kind of close to this little setup, just because this is going to be kind of for manually making crystals, because they're actually used for quite a few things within this pack. But for now, what we're going to do, let me actually see how many copper crystals. We need them for the redstone furnace also, but overall not a ton of need for them. So let me just grab like 16 copper ore. That should be more than enough. So that's going to run through, and it's going to make us a slurry. It's basically going to dissolve this copper ore. And I guess for right now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to run this out, because this is just a temporary thing here. And we're going to run it out to there. Just because I don't have a quantum entangler set up to move this gas just yet. I guess I could move the liquid and then just concentrate it. That would be okay. But you can see the clean copper slurries coming into here. Once we get 200 millibuckets, it's going to start running. And that's going to make us our copper crystals. So not too bad, since we got that sulfuric acid set up last episode. Not a big deal to make this stuff. And there we go. There was our very first copper crystal. And our second one. So there we go. Now the other thing that we're going to have to get is the mechanical drying basin. And this requires the resonant integral components that we talked about. Some block of crystallized mineral, an energy battery, which of course I showed we did make those. And these aren't too bad to make. This is really straightforward, just requiring some coal and iron, 1-to-1 ratio there. Enderium gear. We're going to need some blocks of crystallized mineral. We're going to be making more of these, but I chopped down enough trees to get a couple of those. And then capacitors, which are pretty straightforward, really cheap to make. And cured rubber is just vines with water to make that. So really easy. I did add some vines into our little area down here so that our sylph can farm these. May end up spreading them out even more. So just so that she does have access to those. But let's go ahead. Let's grab our energy batteries. And this is going to require a dissolution chamber also that has mineral resin in it. So just a heads up there. Which actually, I think all these are being used. Yeah, I'll have to set up another one, but that's okay. The heavy engineering blocks, I do have those right in here somewhere. And I'm going to go ahead and grab this stuff because we're going to be using this also today. Or here in just a second. And yeah, there's my heavy engineering blocks. And for the drying basins, these are just this recipe here. So a little bit of Invar, mechanical mixer, which is really straightforward. So infused wood. We're going to go ahead and get ourselves, oh yeah, Invar gears. Oh yeah, here they are. I was like, I made those. I know I did. But I was prepping for so many things that I may have missed some things. We'll see. And then the energy batteries, that. Basically, we just need the blocks of crystallized mineral. Which we can get this by chopping down the trees, but that's just going to take way too much time. Actually, it wouldn't take that long, but I'd rather go ahead and set up for automating it. And for this, I've got down here a mineral sapling that I planted. And we're just going to grab some of these mineral logs. It didn't make all of these. I chopped down trees to get most of them. And we're also going to get ourselves a squeezer, but first I think we're going to have to use the regular squeezer, right? Yeah. So what we're going to do is we're going to set up the squeezer. We're going to use this manual for just a minute. We're going to set up a drying basin here, and we'll go ahead and put one there as well. And then what we'll do is we'll just put in the wood. Now this can easily be automated with an armor stand, but we're not going to bother with it. That made 500 and 500. And let me just put down a trapdoor right there just so that we can reset this. And put in another log. Smash this down. Oh, there we go. And we'll just reset that. Now that's going to take a little bit of time to dry. There we go. About 7.5 seconds. And we're going to get ourselves some blocks of crystallized mineral. Now I need to break down 2 more logs here. Seems like I have to jump higher. Because if I just do normal jumps, it doesn't really seem to do anything. So I've got to jump from like, if I double jump, you can see it does a lot of it. Huh, it's kind of strange. But let's go ahead and break this down because we're kind of done with this now. We only had to do a couple of those. And there is our other 2 blocks of crystallized mineral. And we could take these and just turn these into crystallized mineral blocks. Fun, fun. Okay, now to get the mechanical squeezer, we need a thermal machine, of course. That's why I almost wasn't going to go with the mechanical squeezer. I was going to automate the squeezer, but then I looked, and this one actually isn't expensive to make. So the multi-servo press just requires a block of iron, a couple pieces of bronze, a couple Constantan gears, and a redstone flux coil. And actually, I just realized I made the blend. I was making the blend, but I never actually made the Constantan gears. This stuff is easy enough just to process this way. But I did discover that, like, Invar, you can, it shows a recipe for being able to make the Invar blend, but you can't actually craft it. It's uncraftable, it seems like, in this pack. Okay, so we'll get our Constantan gears. I just need 2 of those. I'm also running our Invar plates right now. And then we'll go ahead and get our multi-servo press. And then we're going to get our new numismatic die for the multi-servo press. And then we'll just pop up and just kind of running off of this power kind of temporarily here. So let's just plug in right there is fine. We'll drop this in and we'll drop in this. We really only need this machine, I think, for like this, and that's about it. It may come up again. I probably end up needing more coins at some point for something, but there is 3 Enderium coins. Enderium gear and our Enderium plates, and we can get our mechanical squeezer. So there's that. And let's grab ourselves a blazing ender sail, and we're going to set this up. We'll kind of refine this because we're going to have a mechanical drying basin and stuff, but it's just going to be set up kind of in these little bays, which is going to be a lot of automation and things. That's going to be plugged up to AE2. So we'll put our mechanical squeezer in right there, and then we'll put our drying basins just kind of temporarily around that, and we'll drop in our mineral logs. Oh yeah, and let's hit this button here, auto eject fluid true, and that way it can start sending that mineral resin out. And you can see we're going to have way more than what we need, and these can also be used to make the blocks of crystallized mineral, but we're just going to use these blocks here. That's fine. And then at this point we can go back to the drying basin, and we only need like 1 more of these, and then we're going to need a bunch of the fluid. So I'm going to turn this off for right now. I don't want to auto eject it anymore. And let me get another, because I don't have one set up, but let's go ahead and get ourselves a dissolution chamber just for crafting this out, and I'll set this one up over with the others once I find a good place for it. But for right now, we're going to set it up right here because I don't have an ender tank system, and I've honestly, I feel like I've prepped enough for today. I just want to make this push because it's going to make our lives a lot easier. We're going to push that up, and we're going to take and put in this. We're going to need these. Our drying basins, which let me empty these out, and then our blocks of crystallized mineral. We're going to go ahead and just lock that recipe in. There we go. And we'll just dump this into there. And there we go. There is our 2 mechanical drying basins. Yay. A little bit of a process, not too bad though. Okay, so now at this point we can turn our attention back to the pulverizer. We are going to need, I think we've got all of this now to make it. So let's go out. We're going to need this shape right here. And so we're just going to adjust this one a little bit. Of course, it doesn't have to be exact. If we were to put 4 in this corner, we could do all of our crafts through that, but we're not going to do that. And it seems like the achievements got reset in this pack for some reason after the update. And if you break off the any pieces from the multi-block, it breaks all your items out. So just a heads up. I had to replace all of that. Okay, and then we're going to need the Thorn Chakram. And we're going to need this. And we're going to need this. And then we're also going to need some flux dust. 4 pieces of that. And we should be in business. So we'll go ahead and just drop that in. Drop that in. There we go. It's going to craft together. And there we go. There is our pulverizer. Woohoo. Okay, now with the pulverizer, we can do one thing. The one thing we need it for right now. We're going to take and we're going to drop in our quantum entangler, and that's going to crush it up. There we go. There is our flux cores. And then these go right into there. Okay, and well, like that. All right. Now, if we go back, because remember, we're still just working on making black iron. If we go back to black iron, we are going to need Lithorite interconnect, which is actually not too bad to make. But to get Lithorite crystals, we are going to need the fluid encapsulator and that liquid tritium that we made last episode, which we have a literal ton of. Elven quartz, super easy. But once again, we have a machine standing in our way, and that is the fluid encapsulator. So let's go ahead and get ourselves our fluid encapsulator. Now luckily we've already got all this stuff. You know, we set this up to run earlier, and we have the mechanical drying basin. So all the rest of this stuff, super easy, super cheap to make at this point. And I've got everything pretty much prepped up right into here. And there is our 6 charged night sky lapis. And at this point we're pretty much ready to go ahead and set up the fluid encapsulator. And this is going to be laid out in the same kind of structure as the other machine. So we'll just go through and get all this laid out. Pretty straightforward. That. And for this one we do need lava crystals. And then the ethereal slates. And go, craft. Oh, I'm actually really excited to see these coming together. Oh, and we get the lava crystals back. I did not know that. Okay. Well, that's actually kind of nice. It's quite nice of them. Though I think after the cost of the machine, it's a kind gesture to give you something back, I think. So let's grab our tritium. There we go. And let's grab our elven quartz. You can see a lot of the stuff that we've been working on the last couple episodes kind of coming together with this one. Overall, since we had the automation set up for the tritium and stuff, really wasn't a big deal. It wasn't that hard to set up for this. But let's go ahead, drop that down right there. And we're going to say input from the top side. Then we can drop in our elven quartz, and it quickly makes our Lithorite crystal. And we're going to need 4 of these. There we go. And then, at this point, if we go back over to black iron, we're almost there. We're almost there. For the Lithorite interconnect, we're going to need to get the assembler, which is this right here. And I think I've got pretty much everything. I'm just going to grab all this stuff because it's like a lot of these things. And this is just a piston that's laid out there, so that's not really for anything in particular. It's just I was using a bunch of pistons and I was out of pistons. So that's the purpose of that. Let's go ahead and get ourselves a structure panel. Let's get ourselves 2 volatile memories. And then let's get 1 flash memory. And then let's get a CPU. Oh yeah, I need one more. No, I need 3 more. What did I use the... Oh, the volatile memories. Okay. I forgot they took them. And what was the... Oh yeah, the piston was for the thing. Let me grab these. There's 28 Lithorite. And I think at this point, there's probably not too much standing in our way to starting environmental core. So lots of cool things that we can actually delve into at this point. And then let's get our assembler. So for the assembler, we'll just put this in right here for the time being. We drop in our obsidian plates, our redstone, and that's going to craft those together. And it's going to make our redstone imbued obsidian plates. Now right now we just need 4 of these to get our 4 pieces of black iron to make our inscriber. So we're going to take that. We're going to take our Lithorite. That's a visual bug. And that's going to start making our Lithorite interconnects. So there is our 4 Lithorite interconnects. Okay. Now is the time for us to make black iron. So all that prep was to make 4 ingots of black iron. But it's not actually that expensive. Yeah, you can see, there we go. It's crafting. And I think all of these are connected. Because if I recall, it's just like have some in range pretty much on these things. We're probably going to set up a little, kind of a bay room, kind of like what we've got on some of these. Probably set up a little bay room up here somewhere and have that set up, I think. But just kind of steadily working my way up the building. We've pretty much, like I said, filled out the bays on this floor with a lot of our big setups, kind of our big clunky setups into these bays. And then a lot of what's going to be up here is just going to be like these machine walls that have automation stuff going. And then we'll have some little setups in these little mid bays, I think. And then maybe have some side bays that come out, and then have stuff like the Endercrafter and whatnot in those, I think. It's kind of what I have in mind. Now we should be able to speed this up. Though I don't know. Like if we did that. Yeah, there we go. Now we're kicking through some black iron. So quest completed, black iron ingot. And that's going to be down here. And you can see there's this whole bunch of fun too. Because this all takes black iron. But as you can see, black iron, it's not expensive. And once we get some automation in place, it's not a hard material to make. It's just mainly getting the machines. Because at this point, I can make more really, really easy. Because this is super cheap. This is super cheap. Super cheap. We're actually going to be setting that up for automation. That's the purpose of that other crusher up there. These are super cheap. These aren't too bad. Once we get more power, they're going to be super cheap. And this, super cheap. So, realistically, black iron, not expensive. It just takes a big push to get it. So there we go. There is our inscriber. There is our energy acceptor. And that's really all that we need to get started with AE2. Because actually, AE2, once you get that initial push of prep out of the way, it's not too bad. Everything works as you would expect for the most part. You know, we're going to have to go get some more inscribers. We're going to do that next episode. Some more inscriber presses. Illuminated panels are default. ME terminals. All this stuff is just default. You know, you have to make fluics and stuff a little bit different, but it's really not that bad. The only thing really is the ME drive. That's going to take a little bit. It's not too bad. Realistically, it just takes a lot of diamonds and then a bit of microcrafting. We're going to have to make quartz enriched iron, which we're going to have to start farming sludge. But for the most part, not too bad. And also the ME controller takes polonium. That's really the only things that I've really noticed that are kind of standing in our way to a big system. But we can get an initial system and get some automation in place to make our lives a lot easier before pushing on to the big system. And that's kind of what I have in mind, is just using basically these two things to get ourselves started. Because of course we can have all the storage we want with only one channel. And then beyond that, we'll have 47 channels there for kind of automation and other things. So we can get a pretty decent system started and then expand once we need to, or once we're able to easily move into expanding. So anyways, with that, I know it's about wrapping up point for this episode. So this was just kind of like a crazy progression push, craft lots of machines to get us up to AE2 point. This is the thing I've been kind of waiting on to push really hard because I want to expand our solar panels, but that's a whole lot of microcrafting. I want to do more tech, but that's a whole lot of microcrafting. AE2 is going to help us out with that a lot. So we've got that pushed out of the way. And so next episode, we can start into some AE2 and start into some automation and storage access and all that fun stuff. So I hope you guys join me for that. And I hope you guys enjoyed this episode today. If you did, as always, be sure and hit that like button and go ahead and subscribe if you're not already to stay updated with when new videos come out. And I hope to see you guys next time. So until then, as always, do take care, stay safe. I'll see you guys then.